Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Home Care Hot Seat. Today I'm joined by Paul Botsford, Head of Assisted Living Technology at property technology innovator Secure. He'll be talking to me about the value of customer feedback in the home care sector and how it's evolving. Thanks so much for joining me, Paul. I really appreciate it. So could you just start by telling me what are some of the best ways to gather feedback from home care service users?
I think traditionally, the care manager would be the one responsible for getting that feedback, and they normally will go out and visit people. And on the polls and research we've done, typically they can get out two or three times a year to visit someone. With the application of our new Beanbag Care technology, we can get the feedback every day, and I think that's much better. And I think the key things are make it easy to give feedback. So certainly making sure that someone can respond easily and making sure that it's unbiased. Often, people need a little time after they've received care before they can give feedback. Typically, as our system's set up, so we prompt for feedback at least half an hour after the care provider's left.
Right, thank you. So how can home care businesses, what can they learn from the wider service sector when it comes to gaining customer feedback and the importance of that?
I think there's a lot to be learned there. A lot of industries, service industries now have spent that are more, more advanced in using technology are systematically capturing service feedback, because what they realize is that's really that user experience impacts your brand. It impacts whether people buy from you again. And so a lot of sectors now, you see it in hotel sectors, retail sectors, all these sectors will be looking for different ways to prompt for feedback, and trying to get inside what was the user experience. I think people know you can do all the training for people and you can put the best business processes in place. But the only way if that's been delivered is if you actually ask the service user, how did you experience my service? What was the outcome that you had?
And I suppose the home care sector's growing rapidly now and there's so much competition. So that's really important.
I think that is important. And I think the home care sector is growing quickly and they have huge challenges. I mean, we really empathize with the number of challenges they have. It's a very demanding sector. There are probably, a number of areas where they could see more support from the government. They need fairer, I think, revenue for the services they provide. They need better testing. They need better PPE. There's a lot on their plate at the moment. And our objective really is to make their life easier by helping them prioritize.
Speaking of challenges, what are the unique challenges of gaining that customer feedback in the home care sector? I
think some of the things are care is 365 days a year. People are receiving care. It's not a 9-to-5 service, and you're in someone's home and there's no one else present. The most of the time it's an individual living on their own, visited by one carer. So there's no audience, there's nobody else there to check on that care. So that's quite unique. And often the cared for and the carer have a very close relationship. So sometimes it may be difficult for the cared for person to give that feedback. So I think those are some of the challenges, which is why we've tried to design the system as it is, because feedback can be gathered not just for the cared for, but also from their family. So somebody else may feel more comfortable giving the feedback.
Yeah. And how can that feedback then be analysed and interpreted into meaningful action?
That's really important, I think, because as soon as you start gathering data, there's a fear, I think, that you will just be overwhelmed with an avalanche of data. So what we've tried to do is provide clear reporting and actionable data. So very quickly you can see who are your happiest customers and who are your most unhappy customers. Say you're a service organization looking after 50, 100 people, you may only have 3 unhappy people, but you need to get to those 3 really quickly. And so these reports will show you that straight away. And things happen, you know, even the best business will have small issues arising. And the thing with this system is it will give you that exception report to tell you on the day, hey, there's an issue here, look into that. So as a manager, when you've got 100 service users, you can very quickly zone in on the 3 that are critical.
Right.
And the flip side is also with the people that work for you, the staff, the employees. You can see who are the best performers, so you can give them good recognition, and you can see the people who perhaps need a little bit more training or a little bit more support in the field, and it highlights those people as well. So very quickly with the reports, you see the exceptions at either end.
Yeah. Is there a danger, do you think, that people will be worried about offending their carer, especially if they're a regular carer that comes into them every day?
Yeah, I think there is that, and I think that's why we've introduced this app, that the responders. So there's 2 nominated responders for anybody who's cared for. They have a mobile app. They can also know what care is being received, and they can give the feedback. Because you're right, sometimes the person doesn't want to give the feedback, but later in dialogue, maybe with a friend or a family member, they might say, oh yeah, I've just got a small issue. And sometimes these things are really tiny. It's just the way they're spoken to, or the way maybe they're helped out of bed, just small things that could be improved.
Okay, thank you.
And then the family member can give that feedback.
Yeah. And how can the feedback be structured for use with the Care Quality Commission?
So the way we try and structure it is to look at the main questions that the CQC ask, and particularly focus in on safety and effectiveness and demonstrating care. Because if we are aligned with that, that means we get the feedback, and it can support them in evidence when they're answering those questions, and they can demonstrate that they have regularly inquired after the well-being of all of their service users. And it's really a night and day change to think someone might have been asked 3 times a year, and now they can be asked every day of the week.
And what are some of the feedback questions, the most important feedback questions that home care providers should ask the service user?
I think there's a difference between the initial questions, which we like to keep really simple. So we have a series of 5 icons. You can click on the relevant one for you, and then you can leave a short text message, typed in message on the tablet based on the quality of the care you've received that day. And if you're not comfortable typing it in, you can just press a button and leave a voice message that will convert into text. So for that, we like to keep it quite high level, and I think that allows the care manager then to zone in and ask more questions on whatever the particular topic is that's raised. Because we spend a lot of time reviewing this and working with our clinical lead and with a group of elderly people in Bristol as a case study group, and we felt it's important not to bombard people with too many questions when you're trying to get the regular feedback. So we keep that nice and simple, and that directs the care manager, and then they can ask the more probing questions.
Is there anyone else offering this kind of system at the moment?
We've not come across anybody else who's got something with this level of sophistication, I would say. Although there's a number of apps out there, as I say, people measuring time and attendance, but this level of insight, really deep insight that you can gather and be able to analyze, we haven't seen anybody doing a similar thing.
Why do you think that's the case then?
I think the way the industry has been driven, a lot of software has come from workforce technology software companies. They're all about managing people to arrive on time, do 5 things and leave. And we spend a lot of time talking to different people in the industry to understand what their challenges were. And we heard from councils particularly and care providers that one complaint can cause you a huge headache, particularly if you can't pick it up really quickly, if it's left to get out of control. So really we listen to the care organisations and the councils, and I think that's why we've done something differently.